Welcome to the Port's Garrison. Please like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.
Welcome to the Port's Garrison. Locked. What is a garrison, you might ask? Well, traditionally, a garrison is a military outpost where troops are gathered to protect a particular area. But no, that's not the garrison I speak of. If you're Jamaican, then you would know exactly what I'm talking about. From a Jamaican perspective, a garrison is typically an inner city community or a ghetto, or as Americans say, a project. Now, citizens or residents of a garrison community are politically monolithic, meaning they tend to vote the same way all the time. 95% of the votes go to one candidate of one party all the time. And their underground activities are controlled typically by a don, like one don. They have their own rules, their own underground laws. It's mental. My garrison is my dome, my thoughts, my brain. The Port's Garrison. I am the don. I rule supreme. I let in who I want. I kick out who I want to. I entertain what I want to. I defend what I want to. It's my garrison. No guns. It's mental. No guns. Word plays and puns. Welcome to the Port's Garrison. Welcome to the Port's Garrison. I am your host, Phil D. Poit. Thank you for joining me. Now I want to talk about an occurrence in Jamaican Parliament on October 1st. Tuesday, October 1st of this year. Now we saw in that sitting of the Parliament, the leader of the opposition trying to table a motion to censor the Prime Minister, a no confidence motion against the Prime Minister for his role in the Integrity Commission's failure to verify his statutory deductions. And before he could get into the meat of what his motion was about, we saw Government Member of Parliament, Colonel Charles Jr., quickly rising to his feet to issue a point of order against him. And he said that in no uncertain way, he acted as if he was the Speaker of the House. In no uncertain way, that motion should not even go forward in terms of even reading the motion. Now here is Colonel Charles Jr.
Please excuse me one moment.
Oh. Isn't there somewhere? No. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, whereas there is a ministerial code of conduct in place from 2002 that governs the conduct of members of the cabinet, and whereas the Prime Minister did not inform the people of Jamaica that he was being investigated by the integrity...
Member, please.
But I don't even need to hear another word. If the member in any way intends to go down a road that is, you can't understand if you don't listen. Permit yourself to use your ears and not your mouth. Permit yourself to use your ears and not only your mouth. If it is that the member intends to travel down a road that is going to breach the standing orders in raising matters, let me just say it before, that are sub judice. Hold on, I'm just telling you, that cannot be accommodated in this house. So if that is the route, if that is the intention, if that is the intention, stop now.
The reason given by Charles was that the matter was sub judice. It was before the court, and as such, it should not be discussed in the public domain or in Parliament. And he went on to say that it should not be allowed. And then we heard the Deputy Speaker, because interestingly, at the start of the sitting, the Speaker of the House, Juliet Holness, the wife of the Prime Minister, had gotten up and stepped down from her seat, and it was assumed that she was recusing herself because she was the Prime Minister's wife. But we later found out that that was not the case based on what she had to say. So the Deputy Speaker, Clark, was sitting in the Speaker's chair, and he too took on the opposition leader, saying the matter was not in order, it's out of order, because the case was sub judice, it was in front of the court, and as such it could not be entertained in the Parliament. Now here is Clark giving his take on the matter.
Member, you start on a premise, and as far as the standing order is concerned, I hear the first part of where you're going, and section 20, public business, 22, sorry, notion of motion, amendment and manner of giving notice, section 3. If the speaker is of the opinion that any notice of a motion which has been received by the clerk infringe the provisions of any standing order in any way out of order, he may direct that the member concerned be informed that the notice of motion is out of order, that the notice of motion be entered in the order paper with such alteration as he might direct. Member, I am saying, because there is, when I read from the Erskine May Parliamentary Practice, paragraph 2, page 333, matters awaiting judicial decisions, that the motion relates to a matter that is now before the court, and if it is, because there is a matter now under judicial consideration, it ought not to be discussed as it is sub judice. At this time, I am now ruling that this motion will not be entertained.
After Clark's decision was announced that he was not going to be allowing the tabling of the motion to go forward, the opposition members walked out of the Parliament.
Member, if the I just made the I am saying to you, member, if it has anything to do with the matter that I just spoke about, then I'm ruling it out of order. We are not going to entertain it.
Yes, thank you. Mr.
No, we don't have to hear it. And if I am going to stop you again if you go down that road.
Mr. Speaker, you've indicated this matter is sub judice. I'm not aware of that. However, what this motion engages is simply a matter of a breach of the ministerial code of conduct by the Prime Minister. That is not a matter.
Member, there's
Now, what is confusing to me, and apparently confusing to the government as well, is we heard an MP and then we heard the Speaker. and speak as to why the motion could not be tabled. Now, while the opposition was walking out, the speaker was walking back to her position. And when she took back her seat, Member of Parliament for Warmington got up to add his piece, his say, and he tried to find reasons. Some of the reasons he tried to start out with, the speaker says no, they were not. So the speaker laid a case as to what is actually happened. But he said the case or the motion should also not be entertained. Okay, so there's 1, 2, 3 of them. Charles, the Deputy Speaker Clark, and Warmington. Now, what is confusing to me and shows me the confusion of the government in that two MPs and the speaker, 3 MPs here actually, got up and said why the motion should not be entertained. Sub judice, it wasn't following the conventions of motions being tabled in the parliament. But then the speaker said she had stepped out. She had not recused herself. She stepped out. And when she came back in, she was about to tell the opposition that the issue could be debated if they so wanted. Well, yes, they wanted to debate the issue because they were putting the motion forward. But what is confusing to me is that 1, 2, 3 says it could not be allowed. And they gave their reasons why it couldn't be allowed. But here comes the speaker overriding them and saying she would have allowed it. If Charles's reasoning was valid, the deputy speaker reason was valid, and what Warmington was saying was valid, then how could the speaker in any way, shape, or form allow the debate on the motion to take place? It is confusing, and I don't get what they're about and what they're doing, but something is not right in the state of Kingston, the state of Jamaica. Something is terribly not right. Here, take a listen to the exchange between Warmington or Warmington addressing the speaker and the speaker explaining what her position would have been.
Members, I'm not so sure why you descend into such loud discussions. I believe. Go ahead, member.
Madam Speaker, I was trying to get the attention of the speaker before they left. I'm not going to go to Mace yet because they have left. Is there a signed private member's motion before the House? No, is there a signed private member's motion before the House?
A private member's motion came during the sitting of the House.
Is it signed?
It was signed during the sitting of the House by the member making the motion.
But it was signed during the sitting of the House. But convention is, any such motion must be sent to the clerk of the House 2 days before. And this is what we have been doing all the while. And the gentleman across there, who is supposed to be the leader of that side, always mention every day, convention. And you want to breach that list today? You can't send resolution or nothing at all during the sitting of the House. The clerk ought to receive that 2 days ago. So it can't be entertained. I won't go to Maze yet. If it was signed before, then I'll go to the Maze where it's concerned. I won't. So it can't be entertained. As a matter of fact, we shouldn't discuss it. It must be ignored, Madam Speaker. It has not reached the rules, regulation is so. It shouldn't be discussed in the first place. It must be ignored. As the value that it is, it must be ignored. Don't reach it.
Member, in response, as you realize, we have, and myself particularly as Speaker, have repeated on many occasions that things need to get to the Parliament with adequate time so that we can read and we can ensure we follow the proper procedures. We were in fact notified by email that a motion would come, but it didn't come until just before I got to Parliament. And it does take some time to review and ensure that motions are properly laid.
There is no way the opposition will have re-entered the chambers or the parliament, having stepped out. So the speaker saying, hey, I'll entertain. They already packed their stuff and leaving. They wouldn't be turning back. Now, I've heard somebody asking, I saw somebody asking, what was the point of the opposition tabling the motion, knowing fully well that they didn't have the numbers to carry the motion? So they would have failed. So why bother? And my question is, why would a PNP candidate contest the seat in West Kingston? Or why would a JLP candidate contest the seat in South St. Andrew? And the answer is simple. Principle. You can't just allow one person to take a seat and just run with it by themselves. Democracy dictates otherwise. So in this case of this motion being tabled, or trying to table the motion, even though they know they would have lost, the records would show, and started to show, that there was an attempt to censure the Prime Minister, and a debate would have ensued. They would have lost the debate, but the records have shown that this was so. There was a motion moved in the Parliament, a no confidence motion moved against the Prime Minister. This government is playing dilly-dally with the rights of the people. And if I personally was accused of anything and I knew I was innocent, I'd have opened every door. Every document would be available. Everything that they needed would be presented so my name could be cleared. This government and this Prime Minister is doing every single thing they can to prevent the IC and the FID, or whoever else they can, from coming to a conclusive conclusion on the Prime Minister's statutory declarations. Sad day indeed. Now, let me hear your thoughts in the comment section on the walkout, the motion, and what you thought, what you think about the whole affair. Until next time, I thank you for watching. And as always, if you like the content, please click the like button and share it. Until next time, as always, one love, enough manners, enough love, enough respects. Blessings. Thanks for watching.